Warren Buffett says, if you don't find a way to make money while you sleep, you're going to work until you die. And we always say this at our events, and it's true. Like, the number one indicator of wealth really is to ask yourself right now, if you stopped working, meaning you stopped working your day job, how much wealth would you be bringing in right now? And that is a true indication of what your wealth situation is. And COVID-19 has really driven that home to people. People are really starting to realize, and this was touched in the great video as well that unfortunately we couldn't hear, that most people are just totally dependent on their jobs. And, you know, it's not always about just leaving your job or retiring early. What happens when your job leaves you? And with COVID-19, this became more real than ever, because a lot of people lost their jobs and their economic situation was severely compromised. And it's during these times, you know, you really realize it's important to have residual streams of income, including these types of investment income. Now, most Canadians are doing this, okay? So they go to work every single day and they trade their time for money and they get their paycheck. And then from that point, they get their bills and they have to spend their money on their bills. And then they have to go back to work. And then the cycle repeats over and over and over again until one day, hopefully, you are able to retire if you're growing your money properly. And this too obviously resonates with me because this was Vaughn. I mean, he was doing this every single day. He was just going to work every single day and making a lot of money. But we were still kind of stuck in this cycle. And the reason being is because I was the one that wanted to stay home with kids. And so when I put these finances to the forefront, we tried this to live off this cycle, and we weren't able to save properly. We firsthand experienced it was very frustrating. So what we did, and what most people do to grow their money, because somehow if you miraculously take your conventional financial planning advice and manage to save 10%, like Wealthy Barber style or whatever these conventional planners are advising, people are investing in mutual funds and stock market products. And guilty as charged, this is what we were doing as well. I put finances to the forefront and I was trying to save this way. So the problem with these products they are fairly low growth products. A lot of people, you know, stocks obviously go up and down. They're extremely volatile. We all know that we have one of the largest stock market drops in history, if not the largest. And there's just very little control with these types of investments. And if you are a stock or a mutual fund investor, and I'm not talking about people who are day traders or people who do this for a living or manage this every single day. I'm talking about my story and the everyday person story, as we had no financial planning or investment experience. We were setting it and forgetting it. We were asked a question once, what's your risk tolerance, low, medium, or high? And after that, we just had no feedback whatsoever. You just get your returns every quarter and cross your fingers and hope you can retire every day. So this is kind of what we experience. Now, people, if you average out, you really want to see a true indication of your performance of your stocks and mutual funds. I'd advise you take 5 years of your returns and average them out, and you will have 5%. Now, this, once again, this is the set it and forget it. It's not avid day traders. So 5% is not a bad return. It's not that bad. But if you minus 2% management expense ratio fees, and then inflation, which was about what, 1.75%, you're now growing your money under 2%, just over 1%. And this is why we have that crisis that you did not hear about in the video because we had no volume. This is why our society is in a crisis, because people are not investing their money properly. They're trusting the advisors, they're trying their best to do things the conventional way, and the money is not growing properly. So I'm certainly not a mathematician, especially over, you know, when we started on this 15 years ago and I was putting these finances to the forefront, but I did know that a $60,000 projected retirement return was not going to cut it for Vaughn and I. And when I came to the realization that as an A4 qualified teacher, where in Ontario we're at about $107,000 on the pay grid, the only financial plan that we had was me to go to work full time. So to feel that like 2 6-figure salaries are mandatory to get by, and this is like your luxuries of retiring, well, thank you very much. How about helping your kids out, or, providing for your parents, or doing these things, which are pretty much, mandatory or not lofty goals or anything. But when you live in Toronto, you live in Vancouver, it's really, really hard for people to get by on this salary. So